Hi, folks. Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real. I'm your host, Fred Cilbrith, and unfortunately, Mr. King could not be with us today. Let me welcome our guest of the show, Marcella. Marcella, welcome to the show. Today,
Thank you.
our topic is surreal art. So, Marcella, why don't you tell the folks at home how you got started as an artist? What made you want to get started?
What made me want to get started? Well, I was one of those kids who would, you couldn't keep them from drawing or painting or whatever. So it just came naturally. It's just what I did. And I never really decided I'm going to be an artist. I just kind of went with it. That's what I like to do as a hobby as a kid, and I just took it. I didn't really like anything else. So I just kept going with it. And I guess that's how it started.
So, is there a point in your life where you got professional? Or you said to yourself, that's the one drawing that made me want to do this?
I'm still not professional. No, I can't really say that there was one point where I'm said, this is all I'm going to do. Because I think it was always like that. Because there was never anything else that I wanted to do. I never wanted to be like a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that as a kid. I somehow knew. I was like, I'm just going to do what I want with my life. And painting and, doing art just happened to be what I wanted to do. So,
would you say that it's important to have a creative outlet or an outlet to put your time into?
Absolutely. Me for the general public or for me?
For you, for anybody.
For me, I know I have to. If not, I would be, down at Bridgeport Mental Health probably if I wasn't doing this every day. And I think art psychology is incredibly important. Because I don't know, it just shows people to have that kind of outlet. Some people, they don't have an outlet. They don't have a way to get the crazy out. They don't have a way to scratch that itch. Everybody has that itch that needs to be scratched. So, and they just kind of conform to the way they think they're supposed to do it. They get a job, they have a family, 401k, you work towards retirement and everything, and everything just kind of builds up into craziness. And if you don't have an outlet, I think it just goes wrong.
Folks, like I've said before on the show, it's very important to have a creative outlet because it helps you become your true self of what you want to become in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you express who you are instead of what people think you should be.
Yeah. I feel the same way with writing. That's the one thing that I'm good at. I live for the nights, and I bet you've had nights too where you stay up at 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
And you're painting.
3
and
or 4.
You're doing.
Yeah, I'm definitely a night owl. I work well at night. And I don't know. I think it's incredibly important for everyone to have something.
Well, I can tell you that your art here is totally mesmerizing. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Never seen art like yours before.
Oh, well, thank you.
So.
I get a lot of different responses. Some people find it, on the disturbing side. Some people, really like it, but I paint really uncensored, so if something comes out dark or, I just let it be that way because obviously it needed to come out.
Right.
So.
Is there any comments that you've gotten that is they look at it a certain way, but then you take it in a positive and say, okay, well, I'm going to prove you wrong? Or, okay, that comment upset me, but here's what I'm going to do with it?
I've had people say it looks like, like their worst nightmare kind of thing. Oh, I've had really bad nightmares that look like that. But I take it as a positive note as far as me and my, mental state. I'm able to truly get that out and truly express those feelings. So many people take their dark side and just kind of, stuff it down. And I just like let it all out, and it does good for me.
Yeah. So would you say it's by letting that part of you out, you're accepting the other side of things?
Absolutely, yeah. You need you need the dark to see the light. So there needs to be a balance of both. If everything was all good and happy all the time, then you wouldn't appreciate it.
How long have you been doing art?
I guess if we go back to that professional word, to how long I've been doing it professionally, I would say probably 14 years that I've actually been like showing and
I've been writing for like 17 years.
Nice.
Since I was 10, so
cool.
It's there.
Yeah.
But there's always a part, folks, where you could have your craft, but it's better to learn the ins and out of it, because then you can become a better version of yourself and be able to provoke that part of yourself more.
Yeah, instead of, you could start out and then throw it. That's what I kind of did. I started out and I just like threw everything out there, just because I wanted to show it, I guess. Like, look what I can do kind of thing. And now I look back at a lot of those paintings and I'm like, oh, God,
But have you ever had a piece where it's like you don't want to show it because it's too personal?
Yeah, I've had pieces like that before. And
it's a wall that you don't want to be shown, or you don't want to show to the public because of how they might take it.
Yeah, I've had... And what I would usually do is paint over those. I would keep them for a while for myself, and then I would eventually paint over it, see if there's something else.
Why would you paint over it?
Why would I paint over it? Usually I'll paint over it if it gets to the point where I don't want to look at it anymore.
Yeah. If I write a piece, I'll write it, have it for like months, go back to it, add more. And then I'll have those pieces where I write it and it's like, it ain't good enough, throw it away.
I don't ever actually like kind of destroy anything and throw it away. I'll usually just paint over it or add to it. I'm doing that a lot now because I have an incredible amount. My apartment is kind of insane with paintings, so I can't justify bringing in new blank canvases. Yeah. So I'm, going over ones that, I don't really want to show, or that I feel like they just don't represent me anymore, and making new pieces.
When I met you at the Bridgeport Art Trail a couple months ago, I asked you where your creativity came from, and you said when the paint just hits the canvas, you let it just hit. Mm-hmm. Why?
Why?
Is that?
It's I like to look at things and then bring things out of it. What's called the Paradonian theory or something like that. I don't know, where you can find faces on all kinds of different things and find animals in the clouds, and I'm big on that. So I'll just paint really freely and really loosely and totally organically without even thinking, I don't have any preconceived ideas as far as what I want to paint. And I just kind of throw it on there, and then as I'm moving the paint around, I start to see things, and that's when I pull them out, and I'll start to detail things. And but at the same time, but depending on what kind of mood I'm in, sometimes I'll just draw something really fast, like that little swimmer down there. I don't know if the wood one that's right there, with the pink underwear. That's instantaneously fast. Like I just really fast, and I just left it. And then if you look at one like this blue one right here, you can see the background is all just washy, and I probably splattered and let it drip and everything like that.
I like the big one up there. I don't know why. reminds me of like medieval times or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Dante's Inferno.
That's actually Birth of a Siamese Queen.
Huh.
And that was part of a whole series that I had done on chipboard, which I didn't, well, I brought a small sample of one on chipboard. I really like to use, some people call it particle board, I guess, because it gives you a lot of a texture to work with. You know, I usually go over it with black. But something like that, you know, I started with a black background. I would just kind of splash white on there really loosely, like you can see on this piece how, you know, how loosely the white goes on. And then I'll start to detail it and, you know, add some red. And
The face one looks like Wicked Witch of the West out of Wizard of Oz or something.
which one, that?
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah.
I guess it could be, yeah. Who knows? That's another thing. I don't like to define them too, you know. No.
It could be taken, well, art could be taken differently.
No,
Any way it could be taken differently, folks. Art could be taken total different ways.
Absolutely. But myself, I won't like try to explain to you, oh, this means this and this, because I like you to be able to, oh, that reminds me of the Wicked Witch of the West. Maybe you really like the Wicked Witch of the West, and that's how you connect to it. I'm like, that is perfect.
There was one, and I wish you kind of brought it in.
Oh, no.
It was the one piece you had one of the pieces that was my favorite at the art trail. It was the they call it the dead corpse sitting in the chair.
Oh, yeah. The creepy left hand, yeah.
That one was my favorite because I was like, whoever this is, that's what I'm saying.
That's one actually that I did a long time ago, and then probably close to 10 years ago, and then I recently went over and detailed it. You know, it was the same girl in the same chair.
Yeah.
I just kind of creeped her out a little more, I guess you could say. Darkened the colors and stuff.
So, what was school for you like?
School for me, I hated school. I was one of those kids that almost didn't graduate because I didn't go, you know. And I went, my elementary school, that was Catholic schools, and then, which I didn't really have much art, you know, or music or anything like that. Right. And then high school, I went to Bullard Havens Technical High School. Again, I didn't have any art. So, and still the whole time I knew, I was just like, I'm just going to do, you know, I'm just going to do art or whatever. I don't want to do anything else academic or anything like that. So, but I went to Housatonic. After high school, I waited a year.
I go to Housatonic.
Yeah? I went to Housatonic and got my associate's degree in art there, in studio art. And so I learned a lot from that place, you know, just from the art on the walls alone. Yeah. When you walk around, it's, you know, that was really great. Yeah. And then I went to Western Connecticut State University for art, and I'm almost finished. So.
In your associates or your bachelor's?
My bachelor's, yeah. No master's. I don't know.
No master's?
I don't understand a master's in art unless I guess you want to be a professor or a teacher or something like that, and I don't want to do that.
I envy math teachers.
Math teachers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a math class away from getting my bachelor's in art, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but I don't know if somebody wants to give me an honorary degree.
So what age were you when you started to do art?
To do art, I guess I would say a teenager, like late. Like I was a doodler all the time. I would always doodle, and you know, when I was a kid, I would draw pictures, and you know, my dad was pretty supportive because there's some artists going back in my family, so he would like make photocopies of my stuff and like hand them out to people. So, but I would say, like, when I started to actually show my work, you know, in coffee shops and bars and stuff like that, I was 21.
Yeah.
When I started to, you know, I guess that's my professional.
It's always good, folks, if you want to do something in life and you have a creative outlet, to get to be sociable and know people, because you never know who could help you in your chosen field.
That's true. That's what I'm terrible at.
It's always about connections, and I hate that.
Yeah, I'm terribly antisocial. So, but I'm trying to turn that around for 2015. We'll see how it works.
Yeah. I've been trying to like be more social myself, and I'm finding it's harder and harder to do that at certain points.
Yeah, I know. My problem is I'll try and get real social. I'll go to like art openings or whatever. I'll try and support other artists, and I'll get on a good run, and then I'll kind of crash and be like, I don't want to speak to anyone for like 3 months, and I lose all my friends.
Do you think with each piece that you paint or you draw that there's a character that lives inside you the entire time or for years to come?
There is almost always a character that comes out in each paintings, and a lot of the times they'll repeat themselves, like totally unintentionally. Like I'll paint something now, and then I'll be looking through my sketch pad from 2004, and I'll see the exact same figure, drawn out in pencil. And totally, in the way I do my stuff so fast that it's not like I think about what I'm going to draw. I'll be like, oh, this person's nose is going to look like this, and her mouth's going to look like this. So, yeah, that's always interesting when that happens.
Do you think the paintings or the characters within the paintings come knocking at 2 o'clock in the morning and wake you up and be like, hey, work?
They do. When those personalities want to be heard or they want to be seen, they definitely, like, that urge to paint, you can't ignore it.
Like, I can tell you, last week I had this novel that I'm writing, and I was like, wonder if I could go back. And then all of a sudden, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, these characters show up and they're like, hi. I'm like, it took you so long. What's going on? So.
Yeah, then if you ignore them, they get angry.
That's happened once or twice. Folks, what I'm trying to say is, if you have a creative outlet, what you put in, like I've said all the time, what you put in is what you get out. But if you spend time with your characters, they get to know you more and more and more, and it's more of a connection that you can have with them versus anyone else. I tend to think that the characters that we create as artists spend more time with us than actual people. And they know us better than we know ourselves.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Why?
Well, it's like they're of us, so they're of our subconscious, so they're in there, and you're not always totally aware of your self-conscious, and they're in there, and they are, so they know more than you know, so you should listen to them and be nice to them. Don't ignore them.
So, was there any mentors that you had in school? Like it said, you should really go and do this, or really go and pursue this.
Not really. There was a huge turning point when I was for me, as far as my style goes and knowing what direction I kind of wanted to go in, or maybe it was more of justification that what I was doing was the right direction, and I needed to build on that. Yeah. I was in Housatonic, and it was one of Professor Abby's classes, and I don't even remember which class it was, what class. It wasn't a painting class, it was maybe drawing or something like that. And we had a substitute named Judith Corrigan, and she's this awesome painter. She paints horses, and they're amazing. And she was our substitute, and she showed us this video of Picasso painting live on a piece of glass. And he was just slapping it on there and coming up with forms and changing forms, and And that totally just blew my mind right there.
I
I
have
was
to say
like,
that Picasso is like my most favorite painter out of all painters.
nice.
So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the way he was doing it and how instantaneous it was. And I was just like, that's it.
You know, I've written one piece, a couple pieces, but I wrote a poem for a year. I went through a breakup and I was like, okay, I could either dwell on the breakup or make something out of it. And the one thing that stays with me time and time again was writing. So I was like, okay, let's see what I can do. And I actually came up with a poem that took me about a year to write.
Oh, wow.
So I'm actually kind of like proud of myself for that one.
Yeah. Perseverance. Well, these, happen to none be about breakups.
Those don't have to be about breakups?
No, actually, none of my paintings that you will see will be about breakups. Because I met my husband when I was 20. And that's when I, first started to really get, professional with it. And, showing stuff and doing it all the time, constantly. And because he's a musician, he's a guitar player, and he's crazy psychotic practicer. And he was, my inspiration to do this 24/7. Because that's what he did. Our first date we tried to do the normal stuff. We went to a movie. By the second date we were just he was, in one corner of the room. I was in the other corner of the room. I was drawing and he was playing guitar. And we were like, oh my God, this is perfect. So we've been together ever since. But, so yeah, there's not any, heartbreak as far as, relationships goes.
So, if there was anything you would say to a 5-year-old or to anybody out there that wanted to get into art and wanted to pursue their craft or their dream, what would you say?
I would say that absolutely just do it. I would say you are amazing. Do exactly what you love to do. Draw or paint or sculpt exactly how you like to do it. Do what you like. If it makes you happy, if you can look at it and be like, wow, I really enjoy this, no matter what anybody else thinks, that's the way to go about it. Because then you're going to be original and you're going to, be one of a kind. And it'll work for you because you're doing what you absolutely love.
Folks, like I've said on this show time and time again, it's important to follow your passion and find out what you want to do in life, because then it can better you and you'll be a better person because of what you're doing. And you'll feel better overall.
And you'll make other people feel better because you'll be walking around with a smile on your face because you're happy.
Well, I can tell you when I met you at the art studio, or the art trail, sorry. When I saw your piece, I was like, she gets it. She understands it. Yay! So it was kind of like, when I walked into the art trail, even though it was a bunch of painters, it felt like I was home. Nice. It felt like my mind was home. So that was like the greatest thing in the face of this earth.
Yeah, just of creative minds.
Yeah, which was great.
Together.
So. All right, folks, we're coming to the end of our show. Marcella, is there anything you would like to add to a person going into school, going into creativity, going into their own creative mindset, or pursuing art in general that you haven't already said?
I would say don't think too much. I mean, you think as far as your own thoughts, but I this is my personal opinion or my personal experience, you know, I see people who go to school, you know, they get their bachelor's, they get their master's, they get all this stuff in art, and they get such a block because they're trying to think. Before they even start, they try and think, why am I doing this? What is this going to mean? Who's going to like this? What are other people going to think? And it just creates such a barrier for them. And they lose their inspiration, and they're not able to consistently work. And what I feel truly is inspiration comes through doing. You know, do it and, you know, think about it in increments during what you're doing, but just do it. That's the first thing, is just pick up your brush, pick up your pencil, your sculpting tool or whatever, and just go for it. Inspiration comes through doing. So once you're in it, then you can just sail on through it, you know.
Folks, very well said.
Thank you.
Folks, it's very important to just have the inspiration to go and do what you want to do in life, because it'll make you happy, and your creative side, if you have one, which I think everyone does,
Yeah.
it can get fulfilled in that way, and it will be pushed to some boundary that you'll never even think.
You'll surprise yourself.
You definitely would surprise yourself. So with that, folks, that's the end of our show. You've been watching Keeping It Real. I'm your host, Fred Cilbrith. This is Marcella. Marcella, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And you will see me and David King next week. Good night.